Hi everybody, Natasha here from Kimberley Birds, and I'm here this morning with Michelle Deshong. Hi Michelle, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Nice to be here in the Kimberley with you.
The weather's very beautiful, hey?
It totally is.
Now, tell us a little bit about where you come from. I believe you're a Queensland girl.
I am, very much so. I'm a Kuku Yulanji woman from far north Queensland, but I live on the lands of Walkarookabar and Bindal people in Townsville, so definitely a North Queenslander at heart.
Yeah, beautiful. Tell us a little bit about Turnstone Collective. That's your business. You've been running that for a little while?
Yeah, so Turnstone Collective is actually a collaboration with myself and my business partner, Carla McGrath. Both of us have been working in very similar fields for a long period of time with our own respective consultancies, but we decided to bring together Turnstone Collective as a way of, I guess, broadening our reach in terms of some of the work we want to do, but also the collective model is that we want to engage with other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women who also do consultancy, but to create opportunities so that we can all kind of benefit from a broader reach and a better level of support for each other, and use the expertise of people in our network. So it's been a couple of years that we've been doing that, and this piece of work that we're doing now here in the Kimberley around political candidacy workshops is actually a really nice kind of partnership that Turnstone Collective and Women for Election have come together on.
Yeah. So you're a political scientist, right, Michelle?
I am indeed.
That's your background. So tell us about how you got into that, because not a lot of Aboriginal people are in that space, right?
No, that's right. I think that I'm one of only a couple of Indigenous political scientists in the country. And for me, really, I talk about growing up and what was my life like in North Queensland. And I think at that point, I always say that's where the political seed got sown. Being a young Aboriginal woman in regional Australia means that you're kind of going to be political anyway, right?
Yes.
But for me, I think, seeing all of the activism, the kind of campaigns that elders were involved with, the injustices in many ways.
It's all political.
All of that, right? You're born political, that's it. And then in our families, we know that there's been generations of that kind of political work. So for me, I think it was always something I was really interested in. Well, even if I think about schooling, I did like legal studies, and other people were writing about the Constitution and how it represents the people, and I'm writing about black deaths in custody.
I did the same in year 12.
Oh, did you? There you go. So, these are the things that our political lives have been influenced by. And so for me, pursuing
our lived experience.
And it's not just something kind of outside of it, it's within our families. It's kind of those daily impacts. And, essentially, often people think about politics as being this big, broad issue, but actually everything we do on a daily basis has some political kind of connection to it. So I just was fortunate, I guess. I had the opportunity to do a degree, and for me political science was the one I wanted to do, because I'm like, this stuff is really exciting. I'm one of those kind of crazy people that love to talk politics. Sometimes that's a good argument and sometimes it isn't, but it's something that I get very excited about.
It's fascinating, and it's global as well. So you wouldn't just be looking at Australia, you'd be looking with interest to what's happening in places like America, because it's all massive. It's a massive big conversation, right?
Absolutely. And I've had that fortunate opportunity to do a fair bit of work with First Nations people around the globe, having studied in America and things like that, where you kind of look at the synergies, but you also look at the differences, and where some systemic changes to political systems can actually afford greater equality. And then you see that there are also so many places where we need to change our engagement in political spaces.
I got called up for jury duty yesterday, and there's almost no Indigenous people there that have been picked from that box. To go in and hear a case of a person who quite often is Indigenous. Now, that's political, So when we talk about trying to get mobs enrolled to vote and get involved in the political space, maybe we're not, it's hard to overestimate how important it is.
Oh, I agree, and I think that's one of the things that we need to have better conversations with our families and our communities, right? Because I know that for a long time, Indigenous people felt like they were left out of the system.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we don't participate and exercise our right to vote, then we also can't kind of complain about what the result is.
Yeah.
So we actually have to be active
Yeah.
participants in a political system, and the best way to do that is also understand how the system itself works, right?
That's right. And it's a foreign system. Let's face it. It's a foreign system to our mob. This is daunting.
Absolutely.
People don't know much about it. But the whole point of you being here in the Kimberley now, and we're going to talk about the fact that you're going to Broome in a few days, and you're going to be hosting, an information session there, is to raise all these issues, right? In an environment that's comfortable, relaxed, where people can ask questions, and you can give information about the importance of being engaged in this space.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things is we are all always involved in some political conversations, political representation, whether that's for our native title groups or whether that's community organisations and other things. But I think one of the things that we need to do is actually think about how we get more mob to stand as representatives in the broader political system. So on one hand, we can create our own institutions and decision-making bodies, but importantly, we should also be a part of this bigger beast and think about what our role can be in changing the conversation around political participation.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things about doing these workshops here in the Kimberley is we know that the women of the Kimberley, the Indigenous women of the Kimberley, have always been really active in these political spaces and have led some really important changes. But also sometimes people are a bit hesitant to jump into that political space because we worry about whatever the scrutiny looks like. We worry about how the system's going to treat us. Some of those things, and I guess creating an opportunity to dispel some of that.
Yeah.
But to also learn from the people who went before us. And, again, the Kimberley is a really good example of the fact that you have had some fantastic Indigenous women who have been trailblazers.
Yeah.
And so in some ways they've broken down the barriers already.
Yeah.
And now it's a little bit of an easier path. But what we need is people willing to be nominated, because nothing changes if you don't have women putting their hand up to run for election at all levels of government too.
Yeah.
So
like
one of the yarns we've just been having is it doesn't need to just be at the federal level, but local government can be so important in terms of being the closest level of government to the people, and also the place that
and
people
we see
will
low
feel
engagement.
Like
we see low engagement in that space.
Yeah, that was really kind of interesting, right? That we are seeing such low numbers in a place where you can have a much more immediate and direct impact through the political representation.
Yeah, interesting. So tell us about Broome. Where are you meeting? When is it all happening? And
so Thursday and Friday this week, we're actually going to be in Broome. We're having our workshops at the Yaru office. And the Thursday is actually First Nations only. So, one of the reasons that Turnstone has joined in this collaboration is because we know that our politics is different politics, and that we want to create space for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women to talk about what our political spaces look like, what some of our own kind of questions and challenges can be.
Yes.
But then we join more broadly with other women of the region on the Friday to run the equip training, which is really, I guess, in many ways saying, okay, I know you've been thinking about it. What if you actually did do it?
Yeah.
And then what does it look like to run a campaign? 100 days out, what do you need to start to think about?
Yeah.
And importantly, I think that's relevant in terms of timing for WA, because you're going to have a state election in March next year.
Yes.
We know that the federal election will likely be end of November, early December, I think, at the moment. Nothing's been confirmed, but we know that somewhere in this calendar year it has to happen.
Yeah.
And then thinking forward to, local government elections in WA next year, is there time for us to have a different conversation?
Yes.
And how do we kind of mobilise Aboriginal women's representation for all of those events?
Yeah. So, countrymen, this is really about helping women to understand how to get into the political scene and have the support that you might need to have more information, but also be supported along that journey. So Women for Election have recently been given a large a grant to support this, and they are non-partisan. So whatever political party or persuasion you're a part of, you can come along to these sessions and just receive the information that you need to make a decision about politics. And I was just talking to Women for Election yesterday, and they said women are doing it anyway. Women are already doing a lot of the stuff that politicians are doing. All you have to have is some passion and some interest for change and some drive, and get in there and get involved, because things that are happening on the ground that are affecting us are being made by other people, but are we being represented there? Is someone that looks like us sitting at these tables to advocate on our interests? So the political space is super important. Please get involved and contact us if you'd like more information. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks very much. I look forward to seeing all your mob in Broome in a couple of days' time.
Yeah. See you.
See ya.